Hey guys, so this is just weird, but according to the Washington Post, some rescued dogs actually come from puppy mills. So these rescuers are buying from breeders at auctions many times in order to fill demand for a particular breed, a particular, these like hybrids, labradoodle, stuff like that. They call it puppy mill rescue, and they have convinced themselves that they're doing a good thing. Joanne Damone, director of Big East Akita Rescue in New Jersey, says that buying breeding-age dogs not only cuts into overbreeding, but also makes it harder for commercial breeders to profit in the long run. That breeder is going to make thousands of dollars off that female dog if he breeds her every cycle. I just bought her for $150. I just took money out of his pocket. I got the dog and I stopped the cycle. I cannot read that with a straight face. This is why everyone needs like basic education in economics. I don't even understand what her reasoning is. I guess that she thinks that breeders are so stupid that they would just sell all of their dogs at auction and put themselves out of business. So first, animals like dogs and cats breed super fast and they can produce exponential population growth. Second, breeders are actually breeding dogs specifically for these rescuers to sell to these rescuers at auction. Some even intentionally hold on to puppies longer so that they can sell them as like older unwanted dogs for higher prices to these rescuers. A breeder friend of mine said she's thinking about saving her puppies until they get about a year old and take them to the auction. The rescue people will pay more than the pet store brokers. And it's not all made up of adoption fees. Up to 40% of auction income is from rescuers. I'm not going to lie about this. Rescue generates about 1/3, maybe even 40% of our income. It's been big for 10 years. This is donation money. They are using this money to spend $1,000, in some cases $10,000 per dog. Sometimes it's much less than that, sometimes it's only a few dollars, but regardless, it's still helping breeders, it's still encouraging breeders by subsidizing their costs by buying these undesirable dogs. I think that as long as there are people raising dogs, there's always going to be the adult dog that got too old. There's going to be the puppy with an overbite or its eye got hurt, the unsellable puppies. To me, that's really what I always did for the most part, was pick up the crumbs at the bottom, those that nobody wanted. That's a more complicated issue because it's not clear where these defective, for lack of a better word, defective dogs would otherwise go. But no matter what their fates would have been, buying the dogs only serves to help the breeders. It only serves to keep them in business by reducing their losses and increasing their profits. Which, if we want puppy mills abolished, it's not really a good outcome. Ultimately, this is just another lesson in effective altruism. Not only should we not be donating to these rescue groups, to these shelters, just because of how disproportionate the funding is to lives saved in general, but many of them, as we've just seen, also misuse their funds so badly as to actually benefit the very industries that they claim to fight. So how do we avoid supporting these rescuers, not only as people who maybe want to rescue, adopt dogs ourselves, but also as people who want to support animal welfare and donate money to animal causes? Well, as you've already guessed, don't donate to these people, right? Don't donate to rescuers who buy from breeders. And again, it's a good idea not to donate to organizations that are focused on pet welfare in general, because again, your dollar will go much farther, will do much more good elsewhere. Now, if you're looking to adopt a dog, unfortunately, going for an older dog isn't necessarily foolproof because again, some of these breeders are actually keeping dogs longer to sell to rescuers. The main issue is likely breed. So, purebreds and also these cross breeds, again, labradoodle, stuff like that, unless there is actual evidence of overpopulation of a specific breed or hybrid or whatever in your area. Like there are some areas where they just have lots of stray chihuahuas, right? And you can get an actual chihuahua at a shelter. But again, you would want to see actual evidence of that in your area. Otherwise, if you see a high demand breed, even if it is in a shelter, chances are it's been purchased from a breeder. You'd also think that getting a again, quote unquote, defective dog. It's really not a nice way to put that. A dog with some sort of issue, blind, missing a leg, some other sort of disease or something. It seems like, oh, that would be a good way to do it. But again, not necessarily. You might still be lining the pockets of breeders by saving them money. So ultimately, this may just be a problem that we need legislation to fix. But in the meantime, it seems like avoiding, again, breeds, especially popular breeds, right, is the best shot we have at avoiding adopting a dog that actually came from a breeder. Again, unless there is actual evidence of overpopulation of a certain breed in your area. Basically, if it seems too good to be true, if a certain dog in a shelter seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's it, guys. I hope you found this interesting. It's amazing to me what people will justify. I saw an economist tweeting about this and saying this is why we need, basic economics. Everyone needs to understand economics. And I do agree, but I don't know. How much would that help here, do you think? I know I said that too, and I do agree that that's a problem, but I'm still not quite sure how much that would help here. And maybe that's just me being cynical, but it's possible that these rescuers are just looking to justify what they're doing. And it's not just because, oh, they want to get a certain high demand dog, but maybe just because they really want to save these dogs, right? I mean, it can be hard to think about it more analytically, I guess, and think like, well, it's really not worth saving this one dog because I'm hurting future dogs, right? Because I'm keeping this breeder in business and they are going to keep doing this and it's wrong, right? It's hard to do that when you feel like, oh my God, how can I just let this one animal go, right? Now, of course, they're going to these auctions. Why would you go to the auction in the first place if you're against breeders, right? I mean, there's a whole thing involved, but my point is I wonder how much any sort of education would change these people's minds. I kind of feel like they would find some other way to justify it. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear what you think about this down below. I would love to hear if you've had an experience of going to adopt a dog and maybe seeing a certain breed and being like, really? That's in a shelter? Okay. Or maybe you adopted a dog and maybe thought like, was this a rescue dog? It's really interesting to me right now too, because we are actually looking to rescue a dog sometime in the near future. Of course, when we do, I will have a little video showing you guys the pupper. But that was one of the things I was like, number one, we do want a smaller dog, but I was like, bring on whatever the ugliest dog you have is. Like, what's the ugliest thing that cannot be adopted? Like that's the one I want to take. But now it's like, well, shit. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually a rescue dog. Anyway, I would love to know your thoughts. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, that's cool. Support the channel, patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. And I will have a new video very soon.